The headline just dropped, and it simply read, Nick Viall shares incredible family news.
Right, which sounds so uplifting on the surface.
Exactly. But behind that upbeat, standard celebrity title, there is a story of profound heartbreak, a terrifying medical emergency, and a completely unexpected comeback.
It is definitely not your standard birth announcement. The cameras flash, the crowd freezes, and just like that, Hollywood has a new obsession.
Which is exactly why we had to talk about it today. Welcome to Star Scoop Report. Join us as we uncover Hollywood drama, music industry shakeups, and viral influencer scandals.
From red carpet surprises to social media controversies, we dive deep into the stories behind the fame.
And today we are doing a major deep dive into a really fascinating case study in modern celebrity transparency. We're looking at the journey to parenthood for the Bachelor alum Nick Viall and his wife, Natalie Joy.
Yeah, and to really understand the gravity of their story, we synthesized a huge stack of source material for you guys.
We really did. We've got the broader entertainment coverage from TMZ, Us Weekly, Reality TV World, and W Magazine.
Right, which gives us that cultural landscape. But the true foundation of our deep dive today comes from the raw, first-hand accounts that Nick and Natalie shared on their own platform.
The Viall Files.
Exactly, the Viall Files, alongside a really revealing exclusive interview with E! News.
Because, if you look at Nick's trajectory, you see a guy who was essentially conditioned by television to fail at love.
Oh, totally. I mean, we watched him get his heart broken in high definition.
Multiple times. He was the runner-up for Andi Dorfman, then again for Caitlin Bristow.
And then there was that brief, heavily scrutinized engagement to Vanessa Grimaldi.
Right. So reality TV basically trained him to view relationships as these highly pressurized, temporary seasonal arcs.
Which sets up this perfect storm when he finally meets Natalie in the real world.
Exactly. So let's get into our first segment, the modern meet-cute and that whole age gap hesitation.
This is around 2019 and 2020.
Right. And they didn't meet at some exclusive Hollywood premiere. Natalie, who is a surgical technologist and a model, literally just slid into his Instagram DMs.
The modern equivalent of locking eyes across a crowded room.
It really is. But Nick actively rejected the idea of dating her at first. He was 39 and she was 21 when they met.
That 18-year age gap was a huge hurdle for him.
So I have to ask, is an 18-year age gap less of a hurdle when the connection is so undeniable, or was Nick actually right to pump the brakes here?
Well, from a psychological perspective, he was operating under what I'd call anticipatory grief.
Wait, anticipatory grief?
Yeah. He was bracing for the relationship to fail before it even began. The age gap was just a convenient shield.
Because of the public trauma from the reality shows.
Exactly. His nervous system was hypervigilant. Letting someone in meant risking another humiliating public failure.
Wow, that makes so much sense. But Natalie kind of bypassed all that. By initiating contact, she flipped the power dynamic.
She totally did.
Huh.
And despite his resistance, she consistently provided what Nick ultimately described as this profound sense of safety.
And that safety just, deactivated his fight-or-flight response.
Right. It neutralized the power imbalance people usually assume exists with significant age gaps. She was the emotional anchor.
And once he trusted that stability, the milestones came fast.
So fast. They went public in 2021, got engaged in Venice, California in early 2023.
And then got married on her family's 300-acre Georgia farm in April 2024.
But here is where it gets wild. That foundation of safety was immediately tested because their journey to marriage overlapped entirely with their journey to parenthood.
Yes, which brings us to the absolute illusion of control and the birth of their first daughter, River Rose.
Born in February of 2024.
Just 2 months before their wedding, she was literally carried down the aisle.
Which is adorable.
It's so cute. But getting River into the world really challenged their medical anxieties, especially regarding the epidural.
Oh man, the epidural fear is so real.
It is. On the Viall Files, they admitted to being paralyzed by this fear. They pictured it as this, quote, giant sword going into the spine.
A giant sword. That is the perfect example of how our brains catastrophize the unknown.
Okay, let's unpack this for a second, because it's like the boogeyman of the delivery room.
It really is. The cultural narrative is full of horror stories.
Right, but structurally, it is not a weapon. It's more like, think of it as a microscopic toll booth on your nervous system's highway.
A toll booth, I like that.
Yeah. It just stops the pain signals from driving up the spinal cord to the brain. But all the other biological traffic, like the muscle contractions, keeps moving.
And Natalie's actual experience proves this. She felt the standard 5E in her arm was way more painful than the epidural in her back.
Which is wild to think about. Once she reframed that fear, she literally spent her labor eating Italian ice and Jell-O.
Just chilling until it was time to push.
But wait till you hear what came next. Because the delivery itself was pure chaos.
Oh, it was terrifying. The doctor barely arrived in time.
Rushing into the room.
Yeah, and Natalie only pushed 3 times. But the baby came out with the umbilical cord wrapped tightly around her neck.
Multiple times, right?
Multiple times. And her mom actually caught the whole terrifying sequence on camera.
Oh my gosh, just adding this intense documentary realism to it all. The baby is screaming, the medical staff is scrambling to clear her airways.
But then, in the middle of all that panic, Nick walks over. He puts his head against Rivers and just starts speaking to her.
And she stopped crying almost instantly.
Instantly, which is a fascinating demonstration of fetal auditory learning.
Because sound travels through the amniotic fluid.
Precisely. By the 3rd trimester, the fluid in the womb acts as a conductor for low-frequency sounds, like a male partner's voice.
So because Nick spent months talking to Natalie's stomach, the baby already knew him.
Right. Her developing brain had cataloged the specific rhythm and cadence of his voice. Hearing that familiar sound triggered an immediate self-soothing response.
That is just incredible. And that biological connection clearly ignited something in Nick because they made some really intentional choices when they brought River home to Los Angeles.
They completely rejected the Hollywood standard of hiring a night nurse.
Which everyone told them to do.
I know, but they wanted the unfiltered experience, the exhaustion, the 2 in the morning feedings.
Just them and their 2 protective dogs, Jeff and Steve, hovering nearby.
And there was this huge psychological shift for Nick. He found watching Natalie transition into motherhood incredibly attractive.
Which subverts the usual narrative, right? Usually the identity of partner gets overshadowed by the identity of parent.
Exactly. Couples often struggle with intimacy postpartum, but for them, the maternal role became a catalyst for a deeper physical bond.
So up to this point, it feels like this textbook happy ending. They survived the age gap judgment, the medical anxiety, and built this tight-knit family.
But later in the episode, we'll talk about the shocking twist nobody saw coming.
Yeah, because while River's birth had a happy ending, their attempt to expand their family the next year pushed them to their absolute breaking point.
The heartbreak of 2025.
Before we get into that heavy chapter, if you're loving these Hollywood twists and deep dives, make sure you're subscribed. We've got even crazier stories ahead.
Stay tuned and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what's coming next.
So shifting to a much more solemn tone here, the year 2025 was just brutal for Nick and Natalie.
It really was an education in the cruelest aspects of biological unpredictability.
Natalie suffered 3 separate pregnancy losses in a single year.
3. It started in January, and while she was still navigating the fallout from that, she got pregnant again.
Only to suffer a second loss in March.
Right. And that one required a difficult D&C procedure.
And the physical toll of a D&C dilation and curettage is rarely discussed with the gravity it deserves in mainstream media.
It's a severe medical intervention.
It is. When a miscarriage happens, the body doesn't always recognize that the pregnancy has ended. So you have this profound biological dissonance.
And beyond the physical pain of the surgery to clear the uterine lining, you have the endocrine crash.
The sudden drop in pregnancy hormones.
Yes. That hormonal whiplash causes severe psychological distress. The body is abruptly forced to reset.
And Natalie was so candid about this. She said she felt like she might never fully return to her baseline self.
It compounds the psychological trauma, pulling the physical reality of the mother back into alignment with the tragic medical reality.
And then, unbelievably, they faced a 3rd loss in August of 2025.
Just compounding traumas. She called it the biggest heartbreak of her life.
To survive it, she adopted this specific coping mindset. She told her audience she had to believe the babies simply, quote, weren't ready for them yet.
Shifting the narrative from a biological failure to an issue of cosmic timing.
Which is such a powerful way to process that grief, but it brings up a huge question for you, the listener, to consider.
Right, about celebrity transparency.
Exactly. Does broadcasting this level of trauma actually help the healing process? Or is it just the reality of living in a completely unfiltered, podcast-driven culture where the algorithm demands constant content?
Well, if we connect this to the bigger picture, sharing this trauma serves as a radical dismantling of the parasocial illusion of perfection.
Because for decades, the celebrity apparatus was designed to hide struggle.
Completely. Pregnancies were hidden until the perfect photo shoot. Miscarriages were entirely taboo.
And when public figures hide their suffering, it creates this toxic environment of comparison for the rest of us.
We assume that money and status buy immunity from biological tragedy, but they don't.
It levels the playing field in the most heartbreaking way. By speaking into the microphone about the DNC, they transform their private grief into a public resource,
They offered solidarity to thousands of listeners dealing with silent fertility struggles.
proving that even with all the resources in the world, you just cannot negotiate with biology.
And because they were so radically transparent about that darkness, the news they shared the following year carried so much more weight.
Which brings us to the climax of this story, the class of 2026.
The big news.
Yes. On June 30th, 2026, Nick and Natalie welcomed twin girls.
They're rainbow babies.
Such a beautiful term, a rainbow arriving after a devastating storm.
It perfectly encapsulates their journey. And the details are just so sweet. They named them Dove, Tomlin Viall, and Iris Parker Viall.
Utilizing family names from both sides for the middle names.
And they announced it with these adorable matching onesies. Dove had a small bird, and Iris had a rocking horse.
They even tested the names out on 2-year-old River, who is apparently thrilled to be a big sister.
She embraced the role with surprising comprehension, which is just so cute.
And despite the absolute gauntlet they ran, they're already looking to the future. They expressed hope for a fourth child to, as they put it, bring back all the babies they lost.
That is just an astonishing display of resilience.
It really is. But the arrival of Dove and Iris also places them in the center of this broader cultural shift.
Right, the 2026 celebrity baby boom that W Magazine just documented.
Yes, they join this stylish class of new parents. You've got Sophia Richie and Elliot Grange welcoming baby Henry Cecil,
Actor Charles Melton and Camille Summers Valley having their first.
Ellie Goulding having a daughter, and Meghan Trainor welcoming a daughter named Mikey Moon via surrogate.
It is a highly visible, deeply influential class shaping modern parenting norms.
And the contrast between the baby booms of the early 2000s and this class of 2026 is striking.
20 years ago, celebrity parenting was heavily gated.
Right, you sold the exclusive photos to a magazine, presented this image of an effortless bounce back, and hid the struggles.
Today, couples like Nick and Natalie or Meghan Trainor discussing surrogacy, they are leading with radical transparency.
The cultural currency has completely shifted from curated perfection to intense, sometimes uncomfortable authenticity.
And that shift is really what synthesizes Nick Viall's broader narrative arc. We watched him get his heart broken on national television repeatedly.
He was the perpetual runner-up, a cautionary tale of reality TV overexposure.
But now, he is co-hosting Netflix's Age of Attraction with the woman who slid into his DMs.
He's managing a bustling household with 3 daughters, 2 dogs, acting as this grounded patriarch. It is a story of ultimate redemption. Which brings it directly back to you. Whether you are navigating your own family planning, or you just love celebrity culture, or you simply appreciate a story of perseverance.
The through line is undeniable. The path to a happy ending is rarely linear.
It often requires us to face our deepest fears, be it an 18-year age gap, a terrifying medical procedure, or profound silent loss.
It requires dismantling the defenses we build up and finding the audacity to hope again.
But looking at this whole timeline, it does leave us with one final, lingering question to mull over.
In an era where public figures share the absolute most intimate details of their medical and personal traumas, where is the line between authenticity and overexposure?
Does knowing the gritty details of a celebrity's life actually make us more empathetic as a society?
Or does it risk turning profound human experiences into just another piece of pop culture content?
Something to think about as you scroll your feeds this week. You've been listening to Starscope Report, where Jordan and Jamie uncover the stories shaping Hollywood, music, and pop culture. Thanks for tuning in, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories that keep the stars shining.